man, if that doesn't get your attention, I don't know what it sounds like on your speakers, but and the ones in my ears, wow. I mean, sound, frequency, waves. Wow, it's all connected, isn't it? Hello, everyone. How you doing? Hello, all the moderators, and welcome. Thank you for your service and contribution and all the rest of everybody. Well, there's a full house in here. Hello, Ricardo. I got your email. By the way, I owe several emails out there, Irene. I am going to get to you. In fact, yours kind of got pushed off to the side. But anyway, hey, Twisted Isby, how you doing? David Barry, hello. Wendy, Rebecca, Think Agape Love, always and forever. Excellent. Judy, Hillard, how are you doing? Danny, man, Susie, good to see you. Welcome. Let me just invoke favor upon everybody this day, no matter how you perceive favor. I don't know how you can perceive it to be bad, but nevertheless, I believe in favor. And I don't have to believe in something that I know works. And so I know favor works. So I invoke that. I know that that works. And upon everyone who hears my voice and sees my image, nothing missing, nothing broken be in your lives. May joy and peace be your constant companions. You know, kind of walking hand in hand. Know what I mean? Hey, tonight, join me over on the artistfirst.com radio network, the Steiger Perspective, going to be talking about the flip. We're going to get a little more into it today. Exciting stuff here. Yeah. It's time, folks. It's time. I'm getting to think that maybe the preparation that so many of us have been in getting our spiritual balance, justice is blind, right? And we want to be able to go into the next plane with the scales balanced. And hey, who knows what's coming? It's something's coming. So join me. We're going to get into the book that we're going to get into more. And I want to thank Saul for providing me the digital copy of the original book of the Adam and Eve story. This is the 120-page version. And if you go online and try to buy a copy of it, number one, it's out of print. If you can find a good copy, one that's considered in good, don't know, maybe new, will run you about $900. Folks, when books go up to that kind of a price, and there is a reason why the publisher is not republishing, think about it. Those type of books start, and as many of us who collect books, you can get into a lot of money on that. So thank you, Saul, for that, and we'll make that available for the rest of us. So I want to, by the way, the favor cleansing ritual that I put together, it's global. It's being reprinted all around the world. Favor, folks. So it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Every word that I speak shall prosper in that which I have sent it for, and it shall not return unto me void. Think about it. That's how I look at it. I know that to be true. So how many of you, well, I can tell you, I know there's a lot of you, tens of thousands of people got into the magic series, the Book of Solomon, magic. Solomon's magic is deep. It's fascinating. And as we've learned in sigils, symbols, they have great power. We've talked about as well the lesser key of Solomon. Folks, this one is really, really deep. And there is one in our community. His name is Frater, and he has, wow. Well, let me just share with you what he has done. Now, he has started a Kickstart campaign. He has done this on his own, as I understand. He has made the 72 angels, the talisman coins, and the spiritual cards of Solomon's magic. This man is, wow. He has cracked something. Let me share with you as well. Yeah, here we go. I think you can see that. Yes. So I'm just going to play this video real quick. You watch this for yourself. I'll leave his links over to his YouTube channel and over to his Kickstarter page. Check this out. And like I said, his work is impeccable. I have this one, if I can get it there. There we go. Anyway, look what he did here. So this is a sunset, right? Ladies and gentlemen, please look at this with your mind, third eye open, prepared to be shocked. I will let it play. Wait for it. This man has gone to places that, all right, here we go. Tha Rosh Yode, Yohei. Watch. Influences time and date. He gives you who this angel was who was announcing itself to the world. And this is Frater. I'll slow this down so you can see. He is, as he writes, I am the inner Gnostic spark hidden in the human heart. I am a propagator of mysticism, excuse me, and magic. I don't tie myself down to one doctrine or enlightened path, but openly welcome all that is otherworldly. And I am in union with that. Goes in and talks about his life. We are the light for those who are in darkness. His words are pretty powerful, aren't they? I like he says, if one of them is stretching out a hand, I can help them get out of the river and sit by me. I listen to what they have to say to me and try to help them if I can. It was a fragment of a remote interview. Anyway, it goes on. Check him out, his YouTube channel for sure. This guy is amazing. And I hope that is something that you will actually do. You should. It's good stuff, folks. It really is. So let me see if I can get back over here. Here we are. I'm running so many things here. Oh, I see what I have to do. Okay. Yeah. You're going, wait a minute. Where are we in this? All right. There I am. I think I am. Let's see. Now I am confused. Boy, when you start getting confused, that's when you know you're in trouble. So do with it with what you want. I think it's remarkable. Something is here. Something has entered in here. And I don't know why the lights are flashing on and off. That's really odd. I hope everyone got to see. Did y'all get to see that video? I did. You know, well, the way Zoom works here, I can't see what's going on in the actual chat room. Okay. Danny, is that yes? Y'all got to see it? Okay, cool. All right. So, check it out. I think I'm very much interested in seeing those coins. I don't know if anyone else that has ever done that. And I believe Frater he's over in Czechoslovakia, I think. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Hello, skies above. How are you? Peace. Yes, it played. Thank you. I'm 30 seconds ahead of what everyone is seeing. So in essence, I'm in a different reality, in a dual reality, coexisting with the reality that you're seeing 30 seconds later than I'm seeing it, after I'm seeing it. Yeah, there you go. So I'm actually your future. You're actually my past. And yet we coexist. Hey, it's so true. All right. Got some far out stuff. Give me 1 second here. I want to pull it up. So, yes, here we go. How many of you saw this capture they did on, I think this is down in Mexico. Check that out, folks. An active volcano being hit. And if you look at how each lightning bolt, man, you look at these things here, you swear they're almost like something's riding on that electrical current. And you can see how this apparently is a whole region here. Anyway, I thought it was so cool. I thought y'all would like to see it. And there is the back picture, and you can actually see whatever these are. And I counted, I think, about 6 of them. And hitting the top of the volcano, yeah, that's a hell of a sight, isn't it? I mean, yeah. All right. So, Schumann Resonance. It's been telling us. Check this out. What is the Schumann Resonance? As you can see, this is from NASA. Believe it or not, the Earth behaves like an enormous electric circuit. We've known that. The atmosphere is actually a weak conductor, and if there is a weak charge, existing electrical charge would diffuse away in about 10 minutes. There is a cavity defined by the surface of the Earth, and I have to move my mouse because I can't see that. Anyway, they say on the edge of the ionosphere, about 55 kilometers up, and at any moment, the total charge residing in this cavity is about 500,000 kilobons. I think that is correct. Lots of electricity there, lots of energy there. All right, the Schumann resonances, because it's ongoing, are quasi-standing wave electromagnetic waves that exist in this cavity. That's why the cavity is important. And we just saw one of those cavities. There are about, what they say, 100,000 lightning storms at any given moment worldwide. Each produces 0.5 to 1 ampere, and these collectively account for the measured current flow in the Earth's electromagnetic cavity. So there it is. It goes on to say that, like waves on a spring, they are not present all the time, but have to be excited to be observed. They are not caused by anything internal to the Earth, its crust or its core. They seem to be related to electrical activity in the atmosphere, particularly during times of intense lightning activity. They occur at several frequencies between 6 and 50 cycles per second, specifically 7.8, 14, 20, 26, 33, 39, and 45 hertz, with a daily variation of about plus or minus 0.5 hertz. So long as the properties of Earth's electromagnetic cavity remain about the same, these frequencies remain the same. Presumably, there is some change due to the solar sunspot cycle as the Earth's ionosphere changes in response to the 11-year cycle of solar activity. Schumann resonance are most easily seen between 2000 and 22 UTs. So I've left these links for you. Check them out. There are some websites that actually are measuring. And here's one right here. You can go to it. Medical science is now getting into it. They're realizing that there's this connection between the electrical current and us. All of our cardiac, circulatory, spinal column. I mean, you know, the brain, it's all there. And as you can see in this one, I think this one goes back to October. You can actually see it, how it runs. And it's, there's another, and there is one more. Again, this is why we know something is afoot. Earth's been saying. So check it out. Do it as you wish, as I say. I think that, you know, I thought yesterday's discussion, I saw it in the chat room and I saw it in the comments that some people don't believe that the Earth its magnetic poles are moving and it's about to flip. Shift is a better word, but shifting may be just semantics. It's moving and it's moving rapidly. And we're seeing the effects of it now. And it's just going to get more interesting. I thought before we really get into the parts of this document, I mean, this background story on this is quite interesting. The guy worked in the CIA. They tried to say he was crazy. You know, where did you get the data on the magnetic pole flip? Okay. I did tell you that I was going to show you proof that we've already experienced a reversal. Any of you who have accurate compasses, you can use the electronic kind in your phones. They're okay, but make an investment. I got one that's a very good one, military. And folks, I've been living at this place for nearly 15 years, same place. And when I first moved in here, I actually marked where magnetic north was on the compass. It shifted. It shifted to the west. And so, again, let me take us back, if you will allow me, to what we begin to notice with Cayce. Pay attention with these dates. If you look down there, this is 2010. We don't get these that often anymore, but we knew something was happening. The observers that really studied these back in the day, it was mind-blowing. And if you call the SETI, which is under, I guess now it's probably under, who knows? It's been under atmospheric, but it may be under Space Command. Who knows at this point? But their public relations officer said that they are not obligated to the public to make analysis on that which they post for the consumption to the general public. The general public is free, quote unquote, to make their own conclusions and determinations based upon their observations. Okay. Military isn't going to help us really define what we're seeing here. So much back in the day when this was just, off the chart. This is stereo A and stereo B. Stereo B is gone. Look at the dates. This is 2007, May. We began to notice that something wasn't right. Now, one opinion is that, well, maybe they were still adjusting the optics. I don't know, maybe. Some say that these are merely contaminated frames. Well, we know that in many cases, they weren't just frame, they were frames. And if you have a long streak of contamination, well, that's an easy out, because when it starts repeating itself, well, then you have to say, well, then you have corrupted software. And no one admitted that. But then again, we don't have stereo B anymore. But these were, and I contend, were not corrupt frames, were not corrupted optics. I think that they were actually recording merely what the camera was seeing. And, we always like to think that space is a very nice, neat little package. It's not. Most people can't grasp how deep and big the Earth is, much less the size of the sun. But we know there was some strange things going on. And if you look at here, this is April the 23rd, 2007. You can see Mercury, which is, that's what SETI was capturing, but that is not the sun behind it, obviously. But some would say, well, then what is it? Well, make your own conclusions. I mean, that's what the public affairs officer said. Make your own determination. I've captured these. These are in my archives. I have, many, 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 many more. And I am convinced that we were seeing things that they did not want us to see. We only see with our eyes in a very narrow spectrum of light. Cameras, telescopes in this case on the spacecraft, were designed, and I actually have the schematics for this. You can actually see exactly how each camera, each telescope is set in. You can see the tube that they're actually positioned in. Each one has a different filter optics on it. But I contend that we were capturing something very, probably more real than what we realize. Again, we've talked about this, but I still contend that we were seeing something on a much larger scale. But you draw your own opinions. So as we continued to get through this early part of discovering, this is 2012, things began to get even stranger. We began to pick up Birkeland currents that now, in fact, science agrees that our planets do put off Birkeland currents. And something was definitely going on. This is one of my more favorite ones in 2016, August the 29th. Just interesting phenomenon where the Earth is concerned. Look at the cascading effect to the left, and you begin to see, well, what's going on here? These are, again, the planets, and you can see the Birkeland currents. And then we began to see, back in 2007, this began to make sense. What we did not know was, when you see them on the scale over on the left, those are very large. Now, this is, well, not really sure what this is. Never did figure this out. Obviously, there is an explosion of something, but I want to see and draw your attention to something that is going to be quite unique. This explosion, whatever the heck it was, there is something developing right here where you can see my mouse moving. So watch as we advance the frames on this. And just start, and I'm going to go slow. As you can see, there is something, well, that was there that who would have thought? And there it is. Don't know what that is. It's an object. The telescope picked it up, and it was very obviously, there it is again, much more defined now. You can see that our sun, and the sun is to the left. What's to the right? Well, and if you can see, as the sun reacts to whatever that is, and there's even a better shot of it. So, folks, this was back in 2007. This is there something going on in the solar system? Is there something going on with our sun? What is this? Tomorrow, we're going to be looking back on the Comet McNaught phenomenon, because as you continue to see here, this did not go away. And you got time code down here, and you can go and do it yourself. It was continued. These typically, the frames come in at 6-minute intervals. So you can imagine there's about 6 minutes of lapse time. And there clearly was something going on here. And I'm just showing you for yourself. So these are just different filters. Again, establishing that it's not a lensing effect, So when I became aware of this, the work that Steve Olson and I did in the early days, I came to the conclusion we don't know what's going on in our solar system. We don't know what's going on in our own planet. But there is clearly phenomenon out there that, well, hey, strange stuff. I mean, when you begin to see this, is this a camera lens distortion? Really? Folks, I can tell you, you start digging down around here, this is something big. Let me see. I cannot pull this one up. I'll have to go to the original frame, but we will look at this. There is something we humans would call it majestic. Now, are we seeing something here? Don't know. The models that they used back then, this is, just 3 years ago, was saying, what are we seeing here? Are these distortions of the single frames of a camera, a lensing anomaly? No, because they continued and continued. Actual appendages. Yes, the fingers are real, and actually we found in one almost looked like there was a signet ring or something. I don't know. But so I promised everyone yesterday that I would show you when this event took place. And there it is. You can see that this was happened on June 23rd, 2015. And we were hitting as high as the KP index was being pushed. That is a 9. And if you look at this magnetometer line here, this was when the poles literally flipped. And there it is. So, you know, many of us were aware back then. 2015 was a rocking and rolling year. There was phenomenon going on every freaking place. It was hard, as I recall back in that day, to really kind of determine what what is real here? What is it that we're seeing? I mean, it's like holding a tablet that's got ancient Sumerian cuneiform on. You don't have a clue as to what you're actually looking at. Now, I thought I would pull this up. These are the old maps back in the 80s, Reagan administration era. This is the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission realizing the event was going to happen. And they wanted to know specifically what nuclear power plants would be primarily impacted. There are other maps that show the inundation of all the coastal states on both coasts, including the Gulf of Mexico. As you can begin to see, the sea level is going to rise. Here is another map showing a little bit more in topographical detail. You can see in the topography here that we're seeing the evidences of new land masses coming up. This is another take of that. You can see this event happened. We're talking the death of roughly 250 million Americans. Yeah. Sobering stuff, isn't it? And when you begin to look at the old maps, you begin to realize that, something isn't quite right here. And we are right about that. We're going to get into this. I want to show you a little bit of it before we get out. We'll get into it much more. But I wanted to show you as well. So here you go. You can see that I think there's one new one for $900, but yeah, guess what? They don't even put it in print anymore. So go figure that out. And those are just some cool videos, are they not? I mean, the pictures, it's the real deal. Sometimes I don't think many of us like the prospect that, well, that this is actually happening. Yeah, it's kind of sucks that, when you could actually get into the mindset that says, well, gee, the generations previous to me, they got out lightly. I don't know. So what do y'all think? Let me just check into the chat room here. I mean, just reading some of the comments. When that event happened back in 2015, I remember that day specifically. There was some phenomenon going on in the atmosphere here where I live in the Rocky Mountains, and I've got it recorded, got it stored, and it was getting to the point. It was like, well, what else is going to be going on now? I don't know for myself. I think that there's actually been somewhat of a lull. If things are well, I think they're going to go, we should begin to see, I think, a pickup in activity. And the people who say they are in the know, they're saying, I think, 2 more solar cycles. So 22 years, 24 years. And then they say things are going to get weird. I don't know. Cayce, what is she having to say? The Birkeland current is most likely the source. Oh, it's going pretty good. The iodines, fluorines, nitrogen. No. Could be. Could very well be. If you, and I stay, I stay in the background. I don't get involved in other people that are doing the research in this and continue to go out there. My path is a little different. I acknowledge that there are radical changes coming. And like, again, I appreciate the channels and the sources that continue to post the phenomena that's going on. But here's how I see things, folks. This is a time to begin to prepare. If this is the inevitable, and it would appear that is the case. Yeah, David, you're all right. And Darth as well. I'll just be candid with you. It means death. You see, that's one of the things I could never understand about the religions. I'm a studier, folks. Book hound. I will research out to the very point to where I'll actually put myself and experiment with it as well. The knowledge. If everything is supposedly coming to an apocalyptic end, that's worshiping death. My former religion, Christianity, worshiped death. They would have revivals for death. You know, the apocalypse is coming, you know, and they want it. They thrive on it. Why? Because it invokes fear. Well, you're going to be, and the thing about it is, we now know that this is no God. This is no being doing anything. This is a natural process of what a planet does. How uninformed can you be? But maybe, in fact, there are beings of such scale and such size that to, screw with a planet, just par for the course for them. But then again, you have to say, well, now, wait a minute. All right. So these cats are really into the death thing. They're really going to see people, biting the big one. Really? That's the epitome of intelligence. Or it could simply be natural science and evolution taking its course. Evidence shows there were bipedals, look like us, that have bit the big one many times before. We just don't have the evidence of it. And, and our frustration is that if we can't find the evidence, the archaeological evidence, then we make up myths like most religions are. I don't see many religions that embracing science. Excuse me. It kind of blows the whole, premise. But anyway, so our Earth is changing. It's well known. You can research this. Listen, when Noah said, "Hey, we can't give you an accurate reading where magnetic north is. It's out there. Do it." Go over to Ben Davidson's channel, Suspicious Observers. He's got it well documented. People say, well, where's all your data coming from? Well, go over to Ben. They have spent a great deal of money putting the catastrophe series together, and he will inundate you with all the other relevancy of the facts. We are in it. So my path is that, all right, so if this is the inevitable, let's not get into the fear thing. Let's explore what our species, modern man, has experienced in the past. How did they cope with it outside the, it's God thing, judgment, the whole mind trap that is? There were intelligent people that were not religiously indoctrinated. They observed the environment. They observed the heavens. And if you take where we know of our understanding of the sun, the solar system, folks, it's pretty recent. Now, the Chaldeans, they had their heads together on it. The Sumerians, they knew. Many people in India, they knew. China, they knew. Native Americans, they knew. Most people have never heard the stories that Saturn used to be our sun. Well, that sounds fantastic, Wayne. That just can't happen. I mean, how in the world could something move like that and there not be any records of it? Actually, there is a lot of records of it, but Earth is big, really big. Let's get into this book. Give me 1 second here. And so we can check this out together. I think when we begin to understand that Earth, when she gets, the lady has her things. This is the book itself. You can see it's the one. Now here, this is the thing we're going to look at. We just don't understand how big this planet is. Our concept is pretty limited. I mean, we can drill, but our best drilling, we haven't even scratched the surface. And we don't know about the Earth. To be candid with you, a lot of this is speculative. We've never been down there. We have no instruments. Even our satellites can't penetrate into the core. We don't know if it's solid. We don't know if it's semi-liquid. We don't know exactly what. And if you meditate on this, you begin to understand you have to remain pliable in your thinking. You can't make absolutes here and say, well, by God, I know this, Excuse me, people send me emails quoting the Bible. You know what? I'll just say this, people, don't do that. I won't answer them because I'm going to tell you how disrespectful that is. We have Muslims who watch this channel. Very respectful. We have Hindus. We have Buddhists. And the odd thing about all these other beliefs, they're not out there proselytizing or weaponizing their religion in the aspect of trying to always come back and say, well, this is what the book says. It's just a book. You don't know who wrote it. You don't know how it came about. So I often say, be flexible. You can see how they came about this. To spend $1,000 for a book, if you can find it, I'm sure you can probably get it on, there are several exchanges out there. I like what he wrote here. He said, to General Hal Grant and his wonderful family, to General LeMay. How many of us know who LeMay is? Project Blue Book, folks. Admiral Taylor, to the joint staff of that time for their inspiring encouragement, without which this book might not exist. But I like what he wrote, the second one. To all of those he ridiculed, scorned, and laughed, relegating me to the nut house and even firing me. For how else would I have been so driven to pursue, solve, find, and derive the truth I owe them? I think that sounds like favor, didn't it? That's what was he saying to him? Says, we got into a part of this, and tonight on the Steiger Perspective, 10 o'clock Eastern, 8 Mountain, I'm literally going to read this. So tune in. It will be interesting because we're going to go through the whole book. It's a much more open platform over there, and we'll probably do it over here. Who cares? But anyway, listen to what happens. South America finds the Andes are not high enough to stop the cataclysmic violence pounded out by nature in her berserk rage. In less than a day, Ecuador, Peru, Western Brazil are shaken madly by the devastating earthquake. The Andes are piled higher and higher by the Pacific supersonic onslaught as it surges over itself against the mountains. The entire continent is burned by a molten earth fire, buried under cubic miles of catastrophically violent seas. I got a sense this has happened before. I mean, the earth has a way of saying you'll never find it. We don't even know the circulatory system of the earth. The entire continent is turned into a frozen hell. Now, folks, we got modern day proofs. Back in the day when I was in the video industry, the Smithsonian was a client of mine. They got them. They got the mastodon that were there. Flash frozen. Food still in their mouth and their digestive system. How did that happen? It says man, beast, plant, and mud are all rock hard in less than 4 hours. Europe cannot escape the onslaught. The raging Atlantic piles higher and higher on itself, following the screeching wind eastward. The Alps, the Pyrenees, the Urals, and the Scandinavian mountains are shaken, then heaved even higher when the wall of seawater strikes. Western Africa and the sands of the Sahara vanish in nature's wrath, under savage attack by wind and ocean. The area bounded by Zaire, South Africa, and Kenya suffers only severe earthquakes and winds, little inundation. Survivors there marvel at the sun standing still in the sky for nearly half a day. We got this. It's happened before. I mean, we got records of it. It's been incorporated into many belief systems. Why? Because it happened. Our ancestors saw it. It says Eastern Siberia and the Orient suffer a strange fate indeed, as though a giant subterranean sky sweeps away the Earth's foundation, accompanied by the wind in its screaming sympathy of supersonic death and destruction. As the Arctic basin leaves its polar home, Eastern Siberia, Manchuria, China, and Burma are subjected to the same annihilation as South America. Wind, earth fire, inundation, and freezing. Jungle animals are shredded to ribbons by the wind. They pile into mountains of flesh and bone and buried under avalanches of homogenized seawater and mud. Now, the interesting thing of what we know here in the Rocky Mountains, Utah, Montana, even here in Colorado, we have evidence of that happening. We know that these events happen, and, they're buried sometimes under miles and miles of mud and debris. You'll never find it. Well, unless you can really dig. I don't know how far that would go down. Then comes the sudden, seemingly infinite supply of terrible, insanely paralyzing temperature drop of 180 degrees Fahrenheit. 180 degrees. Nor man, beast, plant, muck, earth, nor water is left unfrozen in the entire Eastern Asian continent, most of which remains below sea level. And if you look at when the earthquake that hit Fukushima, you know, the Japanese government and well, the Japanese people, they know there's a whole culture that they don't even know who built it underneath the ocean. I've shown you the creatures that was recorded from the Fukushima earthquake. We'll look at those again. And they are intelligent. They seem to have superpowers. We caught them on camera, multiple different cameras. So it's not a fake. It's but we'll get into that. The Najin do live. Antarctica and Greenland, with their ice caps now rotated around the Earth in the torrid zone, and the fury of the wind and the inundation marches on for 6 days. During the 6th day, the oceans start to settle in their new homes, running off the higher grounds. This sounds like the Noah event, right? You know, the great flood that every culture talks about. Why we think that we're so above nature repeating itself, I don't know. And again, this is why we put magic, channeling, talking to the spirits. I think if we were more versed with those attributes of who we are, they might be telling us a few things. But of course, that's considered to be fringe. On the 7th day, the horrendous rampage is over. The Arctic Ice Age is ended, and a new Stone Age begins. The oceans, the great homogenizers, have laid down another deep layer of mud over the existing strata in the Great Plains, as exposed in the Grand Canyon, Painted Desert, Monument Valley, and the Badlands. The Bay of Bengal Basin, just east of India, is now at the North Pole. The Pacific Ocean, just west of Peru, is at the new South Pole. Greenland and Antarctica, now totally equatorial, find their ice caps dissolving madly into the tropical heat. Massive walls of water and ice surge towards the oceans, taking everything from mountains to plains and gushings, heaving paths, while creating immense seasonal moraines. In other words, the seasons are going to be turned upside down. In less than 25 years, the ice caps are gone. The oceans around the world rise over 200 feet with the newfound water. The torrid zone will be shrouded in a fog for generations from the enormous amount of moisture poured into the atmosphere by the melting ice caps. The new ice caps begin to form in the new polar areas. Greenland and Antarctica emerge with verdant tropical foliage. Australia is the new unexplored continent in the North Temperate Zone, with only a few handfuls of survivors populating its vastness. New York lies at the bottom of the Atlantic, shattered, melted by earth fire, and covered by an unbelievable amount of mud. Of San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, Dallas, Boston, not a trace is left. They all will join the legends of the 7 cities of Chabola. What's left of Egypt emerges from the Mediterranean inundation, new and higher. Still, the land of the ages. The commonplace of our time becomes the mysterious Balak of the new era. The new era, yes, the cataclysm has done its work well. The greatest population regulator of all time does once more for man what he refuses to do for himself and the planet on which he lives, and drives the pitiful few who survive in a new Stone Age. After this cataclysm, we join Noah, Adam and Eve, Atlantis, Mu, Olympus, and Jesus joins Osiris, Taros, Zeus, and Vishnu. We'll stop right there. I mean, I think that I look back at this, and if you've ever been in Israel, if you live in Texas, go to where the dinosaur footprints are. There are human footprints right next to them. Something happened. Our memory has been wiped, so you can't say definitively with absolute assurity of any time. I've contended this. I did a whole video on it. We don't know what time it is. We don't know what the date is. Our date has been screwed with so many times in history that we have lullified ourselves into believing that we actually have the right calendar and the right date. But folks, if that was not evidence of a magnetic pole reversal, the past, Mud Fossil University, go there and check them out. We have found evidences. That's why China is on the dark side of the moon. They're in that crater. They want to make sure that this is actually, number one, has happened before, where our ancestors saw the moon glowing because it got fried. And now they are over there. That's what the Apollo mission was about, finding that glass. And they found it. And the crater that they're looking at, that China's in with their Land Rover over there, is collecting that evidence. And that's going to, I think, if it ever gets out, if China shares it, who knows? But from that, I'm sure we're going to be able to begin to put the pieces together. Okay. Danny, that is far out. Yeah, that's why we recycle. Obviously, we didn't learn. That's fantastic. Yeah, I think so. Listen, if reincarnation of some kind happens, I mean, I don't know. Is David Bowie back? I don't know. But obviously, there have been cases where we're going to continue to read. This is ongoing, folks. This is like never ends. We'll read more accounts. So, all right. So if people reincarnate, if the earth has had what we call Ellie events before, we know civilizations have risen and fallen. We know that there have been comets that hit the planet. We know 70,000 years ago when the brown dwarf came into our solar system. Those are where the legends came from for Planet X, Nibiru. I don't think that'll ever happen again. I mean, I think that was a one-time event as we were going through the solar system. But any case, the solar system, our quadrant of space, our galaxy, folks, it's a wild, wild west out there. It's dangerous. So, yeah, I think that if reincarnation does, in fact, exist, which I hope it does. I mean, I haven't figured everything out. I was meditating early this morning, all the things that I haven't learned to do. I haven't, for instance, learned how to rebuild a boat engine. I think I'd like to learn that. I haven't learned how to pick up and understand all the strata and all the different formations properly and put them in their proper scientific point. There's a lot of things I haven't done. So yeah, I hope that there is this reincarnation. And if there is, then obviously we've lived through this. If planet Earth is our place of reincarnating too. Don't know. Okay. So, well, thank you, Critical Thinker. That's exactly right. Casey says, I will be. Okay, there you go. You see, these are the things. I mean, yeah, a lot of things I'd like to do and still haven't learned, but who knows? Maybe, I don't know, maybe we all just take our memory and just, disassociate it with to add to it. I don't know. What do you say to yourself? As I said yesterday, if there's a council or whatever it is, I'm going to go, hell of a trip, boys. Hell of a trip. uh, learned a lot this time. They're going to say, well, what'd you learn? And I'm going to say, the world's back crap crazy, man. Those people are crazy down there. But what a bunch. It was fun. That's what I'm going to have to say. It was fun. That's the only way to do it, folks. Smile. And the world smiles with you. And the spirits kind of join in with you because, man, they're just singing hallelujah that, you're not out there condemning yourself and, being depressed. All right, folks, tune in tonight if you will. I'll see you tomorrow. And tomorrow night, I am with Brian over at Milky Way Weekly and looking for it. Well, thank you, Lost in Space. That's very kind. Very kind of y'all. You know what? Y'all are the best. And we'll see each other on the other side. Hopefully they allow us, a time to at least get a coffee break, maybe a bathroom break, I mean, do spirits have to urinate? I don't know. We'll think about that later. All right, folks. I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.